Hello, welcome to Die Rollin. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and today I'm going to be playing Heroes of the Sanctum. So join me at the table and see if I can defeat the forces of evil.
Sacred tomes speak of a rift between our realm and the darkness, a time where ancient manifestations of the dark will force us all to the edge of extinction. It is foretold that the last of the Sanctum's champions will stand between the coming terrors and oblivion. That time has finally come to pass. The incursion has begun! Welcome to Heroes of Sanctum, the strategy card game by Firetap Games. So I'm going to show you how to play this game. We're going to basically set up the basic tutorial game of this, and I'll go through each of the different components and things like that. So straight away, you get a lot of bang for your buck in this. You get 2 rule books. One which is how to play, and then one which is a reference kind of guide, which goes into a bit more detail about things. On the back, it tells you a quick reference, which is fantastic. I mean, they both have that on there, but yeah, it's really helpful to have this here. But yeah, this you get a lot of adventures out of this game, which is fantastic. Because if you're going to be playing a solo game, you want to be coming back to it for a long time coming. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to introduce you to are these Sanctum banners. These are basically your shared hit points. So these are going to go down in the middle just here. And this basically represents, like I say, the health of the kind of like village we're going to try and be saving at the moment for this first quest. If you ever lose all the health that are in the banners, then it's game over. So the first thing we have to do is have to select our heroes. And we're choosing the 4 that are kind of like suggested in the setup. So we have the Pathbreaker. Now the top left, we have how many hit points they have. We have how much damage they're going to be doing. And we have their defense, their natural kind of defense. Also, their icon. So you're going to be having, there's like a bunch of these like tokens in here. And you're going to need to find out the token which has that symbol on. There's a red and a blue side to that. They have a passive ability. So before an attack action, you may freely taunt one threat to your battle line. And I'll tell you what a battle line is in a minute. And then unique Storm Shield, expend up to 3 threats in this battle line. Now the unique kind of ability is only used through your stratagems, which I will also explain later. But yeah, so this thing, you don't get to do it every round. It just depends on what options you have from your stratagems. And we've got on here, the shield wall of the Pathbreaker clan is known to all. Steadfast, unwavering, immovable. The line will hold. And if you flip them over, there's an advanced version of the Pathbreaker as well. So we're going to place this guy down here. Next, we're going to bring out the Warlock. So 6 hit points there, and there is 1 damage, no shields. That's their icon up there. Passive, Shadow Bolt, attack. Attack threats in any battle line. Apply +1 attack when attacking threats outside of this battle line. Infused with the energies of defeated demons, the pendant of the Warlock is its source of power. So the unique Soul Siphon, choose a threat in any battle line. That threat receives 2 damage, then the Warlock may heal 2 damage. That's pretty cool. So battle lines are essentially anything that's kind of connected to these guys. So we're going to be putting monsters down on like next to them, and these guys in this row, in this battle line, will be trying to defeat this Pathbreaker here. Any damage they do to him is going to go to the Sanctum banner. And the Sanctum banner's health is a combination of these 2 values. So once that's gone, wow, game over, kid. And we'll go clockwise orders. We have the Spirit Dancer next. So they've got 6 health, 1 attack value, 0 defense. Passive Sacred Gift, you may use the heal action on any hero. Heal +1 health when healing yourself. And unique Spirit Circle, remove up to 2 health from every Sanctum banner. Well, 2 damage, essentially. So the Spirit Dancers are known to commune with the unseen energies, channeling its power into healing for the good of their people. So we're going to place her just there. And then finally, we have the Assassin. So 7 health, they do 2 damage every time they attack, and they have 0 shields. Passive, Strike Unseen. Before resolving an attack action, you may freely move to another battle line. And the unique ability, move to any battle line, choose 1 threat in that battle line. That threat is defeated. If it is the will of the Sanctum that one be dispatched, it will be silent. It will be swift. It will be final. So next, we're going to grab our tokens for our heroes, and we just place them up here. The double-sided, it doesn't really matter which side you put them down at, but they represent the actions these heroes are going to do on their turn. And I've kind of zoomed the camera out quite a lot here so that you can see the battlefield as I build it. But any details we need to go through, I'll kind of move up towards the camera. So that's step one. We've got our heroes here. So next we choose and set up a quest. So select a quest card, and it's actually called Answering the Call. So here are your quest cards. So one side has the introduction, and it tells you the plot, and it tells you what you need to do, and also how long it's going to take and the difficulty. And the other side, this talks about what is going to happen, like the win condition, and also there's certain things that will happen when the timing gets to this kind of time stamp, I guess. So answering the call, decree of the Sanctum. The heroes arrive just in time to intercept a wave of creatures approaching the walls of the Sanctum. A fitting place to answer the call. These dark, savage beasts offer no mercy. There could be no retreat. There could be no surrender. The only choice that remains is to stand or fall as one. By decree of the Sanctum, the edict is given. So we need to find out the region. Now, it's a region stack, so sometimes you have more than one regions, but this first one only has the one. We need to find the walls of the Sanctum. So here is the walls of the Sanctum. And there's two sides. There's an arrived effect and then another side which doesn't have arrived on. So you always start with the arrived. And it's got a few things on here. So first of all is a difficulty. So it's a 1, so it's fairly easy. Up here is how many threats are going to be spawned. We have a bit of flavoured text here. So the ancient walls of the Sanctum have stood in this place for millennia, sheltering the ancient tomes that are protected by the order of the scribes. We have an updated effect. So basically, at some point, this is going to be flipped over, and then you're going to do whatever the updated effect says. This is the value that we need to scout before we can say that the region has been scouted. And our kind of quest here is that heroes are victorious when the region is fully scouted and all threats are defeated. So this tells us we need to scout this area 6 times. We also have proximity. So these are like interesting kind of things that are adjacent to our characters that they can use. So we're going to find out 5, 10, 1, and 3 from there. So let's have a look through the proximities. So the portcullis here, even though it makes us vulnerable to attack, raising the portcullis is the fastest way to scout the region. So as a use action, anyone who's in just next to it here can spawn 2 threats in the nearest hero's battle line, then scout +2 before discarding this proximity. So basically gives them an additional 2 scout, which is pretty good, because all scouts just generally do 1. Next, near the warlock, we have high ground. We have the high ground, let us take full advantage of it. So passive, the nearest hero applies +1 to their attack action. So basically that means wherever he's attacking from, he gets a +1. So essentially warlock now has an attack of 3 for anyone in his battle line. Sorry, 2 in his battle line, because there's +1 there and +1 there. But if he uses his shadow bolt, which gives him a +1 to his attack, he can basically attack anyone in any other battle line for 3 damage. So it's pretty impressive. Next, we have an inconspicuous barrel. Dwarven ale is not necessarily the only thing to be found inside a barrel. Nearest hero gains 1 loot, then discards his proximity. So the Spirit Dancer is closest to that. And finally, we have an Imperial chest next to the Assassin. This chest is decorated with the Imperial seal of the Sanctum. Its contents are yet to be reclaimed. The nearest hero gains 1 loot, then discards this proximity. Okay, so next we have stratagem. So there's a ton of stratagems in this game, and there's a few things you need to know about it. So first of all, you've got a little bit of narrative on here that tells you what this stratagem is all about. Then you have like a special effect you have to apply. You have all the different actions you can do on your turn, and those actions are kind of listed on here. On the back on the quick reference thing, so I'll go through those in a sec. And then up here is how many actions you can do on your turn. So the red kind of actions here cost 2 action points, the blues cost 1. So we can actually do 4 red this turn, 4 blue, or a combination of the 2. We've got enough to play around with. And that's why these kind of tokens are double-sided. So you can go, right, the Spirit Dancer is going to activate first, and she's going to do this action here. We're going to get the Assassin to come in, and they're going to do an attack action. We're going to get the Warlock to come in, and they're going to decide to use something. Or if there's an X on there, you basically get to repeat one of the actions of that color. So the warlock could also attack. So the It Comes Full Circle starts out on top. And we're going to place this just down here. Next, we bring out the quest tracker. The top is the time and the bottom is scouting. Now, timing, that goes around with the this quest card. So on a round, that kind of begins when the quest tracker is on 3. We get to a particular part of the phase, that is going to activate. So it's not as soon as the tracker moves on to 3, it's when you start the round and you're already at 3. That's when something's going to happen. But I'll go through that as and when we get to it. You can lose a quest, I believe, in some if the tracker gets to a certain point. But in this particular one, we basically will go up to 6 and the time will just stay where it is. So we place our timer token on 1 and our scout token on 0. And we also have some special setup rules as well with down here. So we create a threat deck consisting only of demoniacs, reanimators, shades, reapers, manipulators, and underhounds. So the threat deck is pretty big in this game. You've got a ton of these guys in here. And you're basically going to go through all these. And you're going to find out anyone who matches what you're after. So I prepared this earlier, as I played this several times at this point. So I'm going to shuffle those, and we're going to place those guys just up here. Our quest card is going to be placed there, but we're going to flip it over now because we've done all the setup. And then we have a loot deck as well. And we'll go through each of the loot cards as and when they come. So shuffle these up, and we put those just up there. In my little box here, we also have a ton of other kind of tokens. Most of them are damage tokens. We also have some stunned and protect tokens as well. But they're going to be just off camera where I'll grab them and put them on as and when I need it. I've shuffled both the threat deck and the loot deck, so they're all prepared now. And now we spawn threats. So we've got 4 threats to spawn because there's a 4 there. So starting from top left and working our way clockwise, we're going to spawn threats. And whenever you're spawning a threat, you always start top left. So there is a bit of strategy about where you're going to be putting your kind of heavy hitters or your kind of tanks who can absorb a lot of damage. Because, yeah, if you don't manage to defeat an enemy in there, there's a high chance you're going to be spawning more enemies here. So whoever's in that space is going to be taking the brunt of the damage here. Okay, so our first enemy that we spawn is a demoniac. Now, these guys are pretty basic. We've got a 1 for their damage, a 1 for how many hit points they have, and they have no effects when they have an action. So when these guys activate, they'll basically attack. We'll tap them. Well, they'll attack, they'll do their action, and then we'll basically tap them. But as they have no action, they're just kind of like hanging around. When one meddles in the evil of the forbidden energies, the demons take what is theirs. So this guy must have meddled around with something that he shouldn't have. He's coming against the Pathbreaker. Then we have a Shade up here. So they do 1 damage. They're going to be, they've got 3 hit points. And expend this threat after it is attacked. It cannot receive damage if expended. So essentially you have to take him out in one go, or basically he'll be expended and you can't do any more damage to him. So someone who's got a damage of 3 is probably best off to take him out. Otherwise, he will, he'll still be around. And action move. So once they've attacked, they're going to move. The threat moves clockwise to the next battle line. Shades are known to slip in and out of the rift. When you get a chance to strike, take it. So the Warlock has a shade to deal with. Next, the Spirit Dancer is coming across a Manipulator. So these guys, when they actually activate, they've got a 0 for their attack. So they don't actually do any damage. They've got 2 hit points. But on the action phase, the hero on this battle line receives damage equal to the hero's attack value. So the Spirit Dancer at the moment has 1, so they're going to receive 1 damage. And when you defeat this guy, the current hero gains 1 loot. They control the actions of the living. What else is there to know? Slay them all! And finally, we have an underhand. Do you know what? That worked out really well. We've got 4 different types here. I only think there's 1 left. So, 2 damage when they're attacking. So at the moment, they're the heaviest hitter on the board. They've got 2 hit points. This threat can only be attacked by the hero in his battle line. Action, so once they've attacked, they'll do a dash. This threat moves to the horizontally adjacent battle line. So yeah, this guy's basically going to be moving between these 2 until he's defeated. Underhounds are vile, speedy beasts that are no longer living or dead. We now choose a difficulty mode. So we can use Adventurer, champion, or hero. So the adventurer mode would basically advance 2 of our heroes and we discard 1 threat that's on the board. If we do a champion, we advance 1 hero, and that's it. Or if we're a hero, we don't advance anyone. And do you know what, guys? I'm feeling pretty heroic today, so we're just going to go into this without advancing anybody. So deal with it. There's 4 phases to this: the hero phase, the threat phase, the region phase, and the quest phase. But first of all, we're going to begin with the hero phase. So the first thing we do is reveal and resolve the current stratagem. And we spend action points to assign and resolve available actions. So our narrative here. The ancients understood the nature of time was cyclical rather than linear. We have been in this moment before, and again to this moment we will return. And at the end of the round, shuffle all other stratagem cards and place this card at the bottom to form a new stack. Okay, so let's go through these different symbols here and tell you what each of these means. So the top left one is defend. So you basically are able to put a defend token onto your character and it will help block damage that round. Heal. This action allows a hero to remove 1 damage from their horizontally adjacent Sanctum banner. Other game effects may modify how much damage can be removed. Scouting. Basically, we can move the scout tracker on 1. The red X means we can do any of these actions again. The attack means you can basically attack someone in your battle line. Taunts, you can basically move someone to your battle line. You've got a movement, so this enables you to move to any battle line. So you're basically swapping over places with people. And if you do swap, the health of that banner is affected. The next one is assist, and this action allows a hero to target another hero. If the target hero is stunned, the stun token is removed from the target's hero card. Then both heroes may give, take, exchange, or discard any of their attached loot cards. And finally, on this card is use. And that action allows to use 1 attached loot card or proximity card. So, for instance, we have the Inconspicuous Barrel, the Imperial Chest, and the Portcullis, who all have a use action, whereas the High Ground is passive. So that is our extraordinary feat stratagem. And we've got to decide what we're going to do. Well, straight away, we're going to get the Warlock. It's going to spend 2 of the 8 actions to do an attack. And we're going to do attack. The Shadow Bolt, attack threats in any battle line and apply +1 when attacking threats outside this battle line. So I can basically do 3 damage to somebody. So the Warlock is going to do 3 damage on the Underhound, which kills the Underhound straight away. Next, the Assassin is going to also do an attack by using the red X kind of symbol there. Their passive ability means they can strike unseen. Before resolving an attack action, may freely move to another battle line. So they're going to move up to here. Their attack is 2, but they get a +1 because of the high ground, which means they do 3 damage to the Shade, killing the Shade. The Spirit Dancer is going to use a use action to have a look inside this Inconspicuous Barrel. So we discard this, and she draws a loot, and she gets a 1-shot musket. Reaction: when this hero uses an attack action, discard this to apply +2 damage to any threat in their battle line. A marvel in engineering. So we slot that just underneath her, and all of these characters can have up to 2 loot attached to them. Finally, we have the Pathbreaker. He's got a shield of 1, and he's going to have 1 damage coming through, so he can block that out. So he's going to spend 2 of his actions to do a scout, which means we get to move the quest tracker on 1. And that's the end of the hero phase. So we now go to the threat phase. So all active threats retaliate in this phase. We attack the heroes and we apply damage. So the Demoniac attacks and they do 1 damage, but it's blocked by the Pathbreaker. The Manipulator attacks but has 0 attack, so doesn't do any damage. We then go to the action phase. The Demoniac does the idle action, so they don't do anything. We're going to just tap them there. And the Manipulator uses their action to mind control, so Spirit Dancer takes 1 damage, which goes straight to their Sanctum banner. Sanctum banner down here has 12 hit points on it, so it's weaker than the above one at the moment. So now we're in the region phase. So the first thing we do is we update the region. So what that means is we basically flip it over and we have a look at the updated effects. The walls cannot completely halt the darkness that approaches. Updated: spawn 2 threats if this region is not fully scouted. So the region's fully scouted when we get to 6. It's not fully scouted at the moment, so we add an additional 2 threat. So we'll be spawning up here and then over there. So we have a reanimation. They've got 1 attack, 2 hit points, and when they do their action, they move anti-clockwise to the next battle line. Foul sorcery animates these corpses. Reunite them to the ground from whence they came. And then we have a Reaper. 2 damage, 2 hit points, action dash. This threat moves to the horizontally adjacent battle line. So a lot of the Underhound, they're going to go from this area to that area. And the current hero gains 1 loot when they defeat them. The Reapers know what they have come for, and they won't leave until they have it. So we don't have any proximities that are going to activate at the moment. We check for that point right now. And then we can decide if we're going to leave the region, but we can't do that in this adventure because there are no more regions. So it goes on to the final phase, the quest phase. So we check if the quest objectives have been met, which they've not. We then check and resolve quest events. So these are the quest events here. And the first quest event is at 3, we're at 1. So we don't need to worry about that. Next, we check if the heroes have been defeated. They have not. And then we increment the time tracker. So they're now on 2. And then we activate all threats, which basically means we're just going to move these guys around. And then we start a new game round. So we shuffle all these guys up as per the request from It Comes Full Circle, sorry. So shuffle all these. And It Comes Full Circle goes to the bottom. And we have a very combat heavy one this time. So Sacred Retribution, 4 attacks on this, 1 heal. We've got a taunt, we've got a move, we've got an assist, and we've got a use. The narrative, we shall break their ranks and fulfill the sacred edict that is given to us. We strike. All heroes gain +1 attack this round. And we also don't have, we don't have any scouting. So the Pathbreaker is going to attack first. They do 2 damage, taking out the reanimation. The Assassin is going to activate next. They're going to attack, which will basically kill this guy. The Assassin gets to draw a loot, and they get a +1 to their attack. Elven craftsmanship is beyond the reach of mere mortals. That's a really handy weapon for them to have. The Spirit Dancer has an attack of 2, so it's tempting to attack with her, but instead we're going to use the Warlock to do an attack. They can attack over here. They've got 1 there, +1 there, +1 from the round, so they do 3 damage, killing that character and also getting a Linen Bandage. Choose a hero. The hero heals 2 damage. So that goes under there, and we used another attack action. And then the Spirit Dancer is going to use our heal action over here, which will heal the Sanctum banner. So the Demoniac attacks, does no damage to the Pathbreaker, doesn't do an action, so we tap it. Then we update the region. No effects during the updated part of this, so nothing happens. We don't have any proximity resolve. We now go to the quest phase. So the quest objective has not been met yet. We've not fully scouted, and we still got enemies on the board. We resolve the quest event. There is nothing at quest event 2. The hero has not been defeated. We increment the time tracker to 3. So next round, we're going to be spawning 2 enemies. Then activate all threats. And we have Restore the Line. The enemy has detonated some type of dark energy explosive. Even though we were lucky enough to evade damage, we were unable to return to our original positions. Before performing any hero actions, immediately move your heroes horizontally so they're on the opposing battle line. So this time around, we only have 6 actions to kind of like mess around with. So we're going to get the Warlock's going to do an attack, killing the Demoniac. The Pathbreaker is going to do a move action to move back over this side. The Spirit Dancer is going to do a use action to use the Imperial Chest. She's found an Imperial Crossbow. This hero may attack threats in any battle line. So we've used 2, 3, 4. We've got another 2 left. So the Assassin is going to do a Scout action to move on 1. Threat phase, we don't have anything to worry about, which is amazing. But now we're going to be updating the region, which means we're going to be supporting 2 enemies. So we have a Manipulator and a Shade. We now resolve the quest objective and events. So our events is all battle lines without threats spawn 1 threat. So we get a reanimation down here, and we get a Reaper down there. We increment the time tracker. So we have the Hymn of the Undone. Narrative: as the foul beast approach, a chilling melody is heard from the rift. The torments of the Forsaken cause us to halt our advance. You cannot directly assign attack actions this round. Oof, but lots of we can do a little bit of scouting, which is handy. So I think our Spirit Dancer is going to do a defend. The Warlock is also going to do a defend. And we're going to get the Pathbreaker and the Assassin to both scout. So we're at 4 scouting at the moment. So let's activate. So the Manipulator attacks but does 0 damage. The Shade attacks, does 1 damage, goes through the Assassin, so we take 1 damage on our top Sanctum banner. Over here, the Reanimation attacks is blocked by the shield. And over here, the Reaper attacks, and it takes 1 damage from that, but it also applies 1 damage to our bottom Sanctum banner. So starting up the top left here, the Manipulator uses their action Mind Control. So 1 damage to the Pathbreaker, but it is blocked by their defense. The Shade does their action. This threat moves clockwise to the next battle line. The Reanimation moves the threat anti-clockwise to the next battle line, so these guys have just swapped places. And then the Reaper dashes over this side. So the Warlock's got a lot more to deal with. So we're going to be updating the region. Nothing to worry about there. Then the quest phase, we're going to be resolving any events. We don't have anything until 5. So we're okay for the moment. And we activate threats. These guys come back to whence they were originally. And we'll see what our next one is. Under siege. The battle lines are strained. There is nowhere to maneuver out until we push them back. Heroes cannot use action points to perform move or assist actions this round. Doesn't matter. I don't need them. Got 7 actions this round. The Pathbreaker is going to spend their action to do a scout. And we're going to get the Spirit Dancer to do the anything over here to do a scout as well. So we're fully scouted the region, which means when we get round to this one here, we're only going to be spawning... Oh no, we will still do that. But if we can kill everyone off really quickly, then we don't have to worry so much about, anything else. We're going to get the Warlock to do an attack. And they get to do 2 damage. Oof. They're going to do 1 damage, so they do 1 damage on the Shade. The Shade is now expended, so it's not going to attack this round. Do you know what? That was a silly thing. Do you know what? We're not going to do that. I'm going to rewind because I just thought of the better thing I could do. So instead, we're going to get the Assassin to attack. And we're going to move them down here. So they're going to swap spaces. So Assassin moves down here. They do attack of 3 damage, but we're just going to do it to the Reaper. So that's actually 2 damage through to the Reaper. The Assassin draws a loot, which is Berserkers actually may use any blue X action to resolve an attack. So these guys are really going for it. I no longer tire from battle. I thirst for it. And then the Warlock is actually going to do Oh, it can't do a defend. It's going to do a use, but it doesn't actually do anything because the Warlock, yeah, there's nothing to use there. So it's a bit of a wasted thing, but we didn't have enough actions to do a protect, which would have been good. Okay, so we're on to the threats. Manipulate doesn't do any damage. The Reanimator does 1 damage on here. The Shade does 1 damage on here. Next action, Mind Control, so 1 damage, but it's blocked by the Pathbreaker. The Reanimator moves anti-clockwise over here. And the Shade dashes over this way. We then update. Spawn 2 threats if the region is not fully scouted. The region is fully scouted, so no threats are spawned. And we don't have, that's at 5, so we don't need to worry about that at the moment. But next round, if we don't manage to defeat these guys, we won't be spawning people. So hopefully we can finish them all off this round. And it all depends on what comes out next as our stratagem. This is going to be perfect. Unimpeded, we shall not be impeded by the darkness. These spawns of the rift shall taste the true might of the Sanctum. All heroes may freely move before resolving a blue action this round. So the assassin is going to do an attack. And they're going to move over here to do so, because that's their prerogative. And they do 3 damage when they attack. So our Shade is gone. The Spirit Dancer is going to attack with her bow. And she's going to do 1 damage against our Reanimator. Reanimation even. Our Pathbreaker is then going to also do 1 damage to the Reanimation, which kills the Reanimation. And then our Warlock is then going to do an attack using their Shadow Bolt. It's got 1, 2, 3 damage, goes through to the Manipulator. He is dead. And we get a loot, which is a sacrificial elixir. And you can do this to heal damage. So that's all of our guys destroyed in 1 foul swoop. There's no threats, we don't activate them during the threat phase. We then update the region. No effects. Resolve quest objective and events. So, let's just check we haven't done this wrong. So heroes are victorious when the region is fully scouted. It needs 6 to scout. We're at 6. And all threats are defeated. There are no threats. Boom.
Well, I managed to defeat the forces of evil, which is a first for me, because I normally don't manage to do it when I'm playing solo games. However, yeah, I really enjoy playing here at the Sanctum, so I think it's a pretty fun game, and there's so many missions in there, so many quests you can do, so many different combinations of heroes. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel. I'll be coming back with some more Heroes of the Sanctum. I've been the ever excitable Adam. Until next time, guys, stay safe or die rolling.